everybody. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm really excited about this panel because this is about, I'm Aileen Lee from Cowboy Ventures, and this is a Cowboys of AI panel, which, has anyone, raise your hand if you've heard about this thing called AI before? Okay, so we're just going to jump right into it. So I'd love to start maybe with you, Himanshu. Just so for anyone in the audience who may not have heard about your giant company, explain what we'll just go down the row and explain what your company does and maybe what some of the key products are.
Yeah, so we are the leader in learning and talent development solutions. We have about 125 million users, and our course gets taken every 3 seconds in the world.
Awesome. Okay.
So we are a creator platform for workplace training. We have about 50,000 unique logos worldwide, about 250,000 user community that's creating about 6 million proprietary courses every year, kind of for the companies that they support.
Cool. Yeah, HeyGen is an AI video platform that allows anyone to create high-quality avatar human-speaking videos without needing a camera, microphone, or advanced editing skills.
Thank you. That was so concise. I appreciate that. Okay, and then let's just we'll do this again, and I won't go back and forth up and down the row so much, but talk about where you are on your AI journey. So, I mean, both your companies have been around for a while. They did not start out as AI companies. So talk about where you are and how it's changed your products and your business.
Absolutely. So our AI journey actually started in 2014 when we bought a data science company called Evolve, and then we bought another company in 2020. So we are no strangers to AI. If you think about how we curate and recommend learning, think of a Netflix model. If you take a certain course and you're doing well in it, the next course that you'll be taking is basically an AI engine that manages and curates that. AI for us is 4 things, and I'll keep this brief. It's assistive, which is co-pilots. That's sort of your buddy that helps you navigate through your day. It's adaptive, which is highly personalized solutions that are tailored to you and the speed at which you learn. We made an exciting acquisition, Tailspin. The third is immersive, which is now whether it's 2D or 3D, you're wearing the goggles and you're practicing, you're going through training, which has a very high recall. And the fourth is collaborative. There's going to be a world where there are so many co-pilots around that someone needs to start collaborating with the co-pilots to make decisions in the flow of work. So that's sort of our broad AI strategy.
Wait, say the last thing again, the collaborative. So agent to agent?
Agent to agent, agent understanding the context from where the other agent is coming in. If I'm a learner and I just came off, let's say, Microsoft Copilot and I finished a course, my agent needs to be aware of what happened. So this sort of cross-agentic framework is a vision that we have. Mm-hmm. And being sort of the largest cohort of learning, we see that as an opportunity to pull all of the learners together.
Wow. Okay. We'll have to talk more about agent to agent. We'll talk more about agents. Edwin, what about Articulate?
Yeah, so when we started our AI journey years ago, we started with our user community in mind. So we've been around for more than 2 decades. We have a very large user community who've been creating courses day in, day out. So we just didn't want to be an AI solution or add an AI solution just for the sake of an AI solution. So what we developed internally is what we call like the toy to tool scale. It's like when we're developing an AI solution, it has to solve a problem. Like when you're developing a product in any typical way, you want to make sure that you solve a problem that is worth solving for the customers. And we found 2 things. One is that our user community is dealing with a growing number of use cases that they're supporting. So what traditionally started as employee onboarding, skill development training, a lot of our users are currently creating product management, sales enablement courses. So a growing workload that they're dealing with. So doing something that will allow them to take on more of that, doing work better, faster, would make a ton of sense. And then the second friction point, what we found is all of these courses that are being created, about 17,000 per day.
17,000
proprietary courses per day.
Wow.
That our user community are creating. They need to be translated and localized, right? So we're workplace training companies, so we're working with a lot of companies that operate in multiple countries. So of course it's going to be localized, and that's a very clunky and very expensive process. I mean, think about it as localizing courses as outpatient surgery. You take a course and you send it to an outside patient, you get it back again, you can't manage it, very difficult. So we said, we got to fix that. So our AI journey started with, let's solve those 2 problems first. And that's what we've been doing in introducing AI to our user community.
Awesome. And HeyGen is an AI native company, right? So, but when you started, did you have to build everything from scratch?
Yeah, so we started the company roughly 4.5 years ago. And I mean, at that time, there's no such thing called generative AI. And we just want to use AI to create a video, create the content. And prior to founding HeyGen, I worked at a company work on, specifically, camera softwares to help people capture themselves easier. And we just realized that, there's still so many people are not able to create good content in front of the camera. And either they're camera shy, they cannot perform well in front of camera, or they're introverts. And we felt that one day, if we could use AI to create the content, we can replace the camera, and we can actually replace the barrier for visual storytelling. And that's how we kind of started the company back then. Yeah.
And then maybe talk a little bit, like 4 years ago, or as when you started shipping product, did you have to explain to people what they would use it for? Like, how is the adoption? Talk about the adoption of AI. And like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people who are now using ChatGPT or Claude or every day, you kind of had to make yourself use it at times, right? And think about, like, what are things I could be doing with it? It's not always obvious. So can you talk a little bit about the adoption path? And like, did you have to seed the market to show people what they could do with it? And then maybe bring it to, like, what are the most popular use cases today?
Yeah, definitely. I think, for stuff we want to achieve is always very obvious and very simple. We want to create a video without needing the camera. And I think the challenge back then was less about, to explain to the customer what it does. It's more about whether the technology is capable enough to produce the high quality content, like we have today. And I think we always have such thing to navigate in the whole human-centered video areas, the uncanny valley, right? So which means that as long as your content is not good enough, it essentially is unusable. And in my opinion, there's always an invisible threshold in terms of the quality. You really need to be better than that threshold in order to make the content usable. I think in the early days, we definitely, took us a long time, to really put into R&D, research into developing the latest model. At some point of time, I think remember that was probably roughly 2 years ago, around the same time when ChatGPT came out. I think the technology community has been, seen lots of progress across not only LLM, but also, image and video generation. And suddenly, we just, one day, we have the video model that can produce good enough quality, and then we are seeing a massive adoption from customers. And I think, so first of all, HeyGen is a very horizontal platform. People are using it for different, use cases, ranging from marketing, sales outreach, internal training, learning development, and education. I think specifically to the audience today, I think, companies are using HeyGen to create scalable, localized content for onboarding, compliance training, skill development, etc.
Awesome. I actually tried HeyGen, and we have a meeting every year with our investors, and so I basically recorded a short video of myself talking. I think it was like 30 seconds or something like that, and then you basically just type a script in, and I welcome our investors and kind of AI. I rebranded myself Aileen. So Aileen welcomes everyone to the meeting.
You were born for this, right?
I know, exactly. I have to thank my parents. Okay, so okay, maybe the two of you then talk about getting people to use AI, both internally in your company and then also like customer adoption. Like how much hand-holding, because I understand from the customer side, on the one hand, people are like, they're being told by their bosses that you need to use AI, but then also there's like AI committees, like hold on, we have to make sure it's safe. Like there's like this weird push-pull. So talk a little bit about, on the customer side, what you're seeing.
Aileen, I think that's a very important question. Similar to learning, there is top-down learning, which typically comes from our CHROs, learning departments, heavy on compliance, et cetera. But then the real magic happens when it's bottoms up, where people start taking control of their own career and their skills, et cetera. It's the same thing with AI. You're going to have your CIOs, your organizations mandate governance and ethics and laws and all of that, which is important. But quickly start imagining a world where AI is very native to everything happening, to the point that I believe in maybe 10 years, the word agent will go away, because it's really a competency that's just created in what you do. So I would say be curious. If for those who are novices, start with the basics. Start with ChatGPT, Google Gemini, get more advanced, create a Gilby. If those of you have done that, be careful with that. The Gilby one day will be your real avatar and persona. And then mandate that. I mean, I've mandated my executive leadership team to start using AI for their functions, where it could be call deflection, could be a marketing program, could be a telesales, but start adopting it. But the one thing I want to ensure you all understand is there is no reason for panic, nor is there a reason to cram your knowledge, because the beauty of AI is you will get information at the point when you need it. So get more agile, get more curious, be more adaptive, but then sort of the whole democratization of learning would indicate that you don't need to sit with a big corpus of information and try to digest it all. I think those days are gone when we all had to do that, and there's plenty of examples. You know, just be prepared to be aware and then be prepared to consume it when you need it.
But let me circle back to the customer side, though, in terms of things that you've rolled out. Has it been easy does it just slipstream right into the product? People don't even notice? Or do you have to actually sit them down and be like, there's this new feature, here's how you use it, and then how do you get people to use it?
Yeah, let's break AI into 2 decades. Let's talk about the natural AI, which again, for a product that essentially is a recommendation engine for learning, kind of like the Netflix model. That was just slip it into the product and it gets smarter. It starts to understand more about you based on how you take courses, how you quiz, how you assess. And kind of like if you ever played games, when I play a game, the game really dumbs down. When my son plays a game, it gets really complicated. So there's a little bit to that on how learning happens. The second decade is about this GPT business, which is now about a product that's, as the name suggests, generative, pre-trained, and transformative. That takes some time. And the key in that is find a use case that is real. Don't start by putting 100 apps out there because they're all ChatGPT. There's enough of that out there. There's enough of noise. To rise above the noise, understand in your industry, and we have customers, whether in the technology space, especially in the healthcare space, in the services space, they have use cases that you need input and you need analysis faster and broader than a human can scale. Start there, and then the adoption becomes easier. But it'd be interesting to hear from the 2 of you, but adoption will be a hockey stick. There will be a period of quiet usage with low adoption. Don't give up. That's basically the whole world coming to grips with this new paradigm. And then as we're starting to see with many of our applications, you will hit that inflection point.
Okay, Edwin?
Okay, so we took a little different approach to that. So we truly believe in empowering humans to make a decision. So we haven't been mandating anything around AI. We felt it's our job to create a solution that becomes a magnet, that really solves a problem. So just to give you a very specific example, I mentioned, when you're increasing the number of use cases for creating training, you have to find ways to optimize, right? And a big component, let's say you want to create a question bank, you want to use Bloom's taxonomy, mid-level complexity. That takes a long time to put something like that together, to do your research, find the information, synthesize the information, and then ultimately put this into a knowledge bank. And what we developed is something that can just simplify that and take that authoring piece away and make the instructional designer and editor who can iterate upon that and save massive amount of time. When we created that, it just automatically happened. So we've been around for 2 decades. We cannot force AI on our customer base. We have to make it a choice. And what we found is since we launched our first AI solution, within 3 months, more than 50% of our new customers are buying the product with AI, without us doing any aggressive sales or saying, hey, you have to use it. So we did that for our customer base. I truly believe, and I agree with you, the North Star is, whether it's 12, 18 months or 24 months, every user will use the product with AI just because it's the better user experience and it just makes yourself better. I think that The world is going to evolve around that. We're still entering compliance barriers for large organizations that we need to go through. So I truly believe that. And localization is going to follow the same pattern. Internally, we use the same, what I mentioned, toy to tool scale. So we allowed everybody to try on our AI, just try whatever you want to do. And then you very rapidly find that if AI really doesn't solve a problem, people are just going to move away from it, just drop it. Yeah. So right now we're moving into a phase that, like, what is it that we want to solve with AI? So how can we make our humans in the organization better the same way that we're doing for our user community? And that's been the approach we've been taking internally and externally.
So yesterday we got this gift. I don't know if anyone has read this memo by Toby, the CEO of Shopify. So he basically wrote an internal memo that got leaked, so then he published it, and he basically said, AI is no longer optional at Shopify. And he basically said, learn it or risk becoming obsolete. We are going to be changing our performance review rubrics, that we're going to actually, in your performance review, we're going to be noting all the different ways that you have changed the way that you work using AI. And there's no new hiring unless you prove to me that a job can be done, but has to be done by a person and cannot be done by AI, right? So that's like a throwdown. It's not like a nice to have. It's like you have to, it's like in the old days, if you ever heard about when Steve Jobs came back to Apple and people got in the elevator with him and he would say, give me, in 30 seconds, tell me why I shouldn't fire you right now. Like this is, Toby's throwing it down. Like, show me why your job needs to exist versus AI doing it, and show me all the ways that you are using AI to actually not hire anybody and in your business process. So that's maybe an extreme, or maybe that's a norm. Like, have you each written memos like that? And what do you think about that haven't been leaked? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, look, whether you explicitly say it in the memo, some members of my executive team are sitting here nodding. So how I said it, I have absolutely said it to my executive leadership team that we better justify why we need to replace headcount when we lose them. What is it? Because look, gravity will always keep pulling us back to the way we always done things till one day you realize it's too late and you miss the boat. We've seen this over and over in this industry. So whether it's as extreme as sending the memo or essentially freezing open jobs other than certain exceptions, and then giving the budget to force that AI within the organization. Whether it's hiring a quote-unquote AI czar, if I can use that word, or an AI native to drive that through the organization, people won't change. The other way to do it is set metrics. Say that in your development organization, there will be no QA engineers in 5 years. There'll be no sort of marketing copywriters. There'll be no recruiters. Reality is it's not going to be that. And then we can talk about the role of the human as it evolves, but it's a forcing function that for the good of our own people and our company, we have to do. So I read the memo. I get it. I get the gist of it. And how you communicate that to your people stylistically is up to every CEO.
I like the idea of, and I do agree that the forcing mechanism is to set expectations very clearly. Right? So not to say, I'm not going to tell you how you get to the outcome, but I'm going to define the outcome for you. So for example, in customer support, and you feel that there's a better way of providing customer support, and you put some metrics around that, then let the folks that are responsible for that area figure out how they get there. But be firm on the metrics, be firm on the outcome that you expect, because that's ultimately going to drive the behavior that you want to see.
What's an example of how you would change how you're currently defining an outcome for a product team or a customer support team, like with AI and without AI?
Yeah, I mean, start with, as you build your budget, as you build your plan, start with very realistic goals on what you expect. If you are in a customer support role, you get calls, you answer calls, come up with a number that I want 60% of the incoming calls deflected by AI before it ever reaches a human. Easy to measure, and maybe you start your year with 20, you start with 30, and then you move up. So based on who you are, what you do, and what's real for you, set hard metrics that are non-negotiable, and you take your organization there. But then along with that, make sure you're upskilling your employee base to understand what that means. And that whole area of skilling and micro-skilling and skilling in the flow of work is very essential. Otherwise, you're going to create a chasm. You're going to be that sort of, the CEO who's not in touch with what's real. And you have to do both together and run your business. And if you need a good upskilling solution, you can call Cornerstone.
Any three of these.
Okay, so do we all get advertising time now? Kind of. But no, I think I agree with all. I also think that you got to make space and provide opportunity for your employees to trial and error. Right? So it's the same thing how you're figuring out AI in your own personal life. It is really about encouraging people to sit back, take an hour out of your day, and just start playing around and sort of really uncovering what's the art of the possible. And then, to your point, don't resist it. Right? So a lot of the things that you still see is like with every revolution that's happening, I mean, there's an initial resistance that, okay, this is not applicable to me because what I'm doing is so unique. Just let that go. I mean, you're not that unique human. I mean, you'd say there's a lot of stuff that you can do kind of that can be replaced, but what you can do is redefine your uniqueness. Right? And in order to do that, I think as an organization, you got to give space and runway for folks to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will add one thing to that. I think today a lot of people are still seeing AI as a tool, but I think more like AI is actually a mindset. I think we need to be convinced that leveraging AI can really improve our efficiency. And we've been seeing that from customers of HeyGen create localized content with a fraction of time and cost. And we're also seeing that internally. We have enabled everybody have access to ChatGPT. Every engineer have access to Cursor for coding. And even I use ChatGPT for all to create some product prototype, things like that. That really helps to improve the efficiency out there. And I think, I think as a product company, I think one of the key things that actually to focus on for us is to focus on access and simplicity. I think at the end of the day, not everybody will actually prompt the LLM or write Python code, right? I think the AI has to be very simple, intuition enough and fast. And that's kind of one of the core philosophy we build the product at HeyGen as well.
Awesome. Okay, so maybe paint a vision for where it's heading. So you've already started to, I mean, you're an AI native company. You've been using AI internally and in your externally facing process. We talked a little bit about agents, right? Agents were like the hot buzzword of last year, this year. Paint a picture for 2, 3, 4 years out. How will your products be different? How will, I think all of us come here in a way, we want to go back to our offices and feel like, I get it now. I see the future.
Yeah.
Paint a picture for us.
Yeah, and I'll keep this brief. I know we're running out of time. I think it's 3 things. One is what's called modalities, that any content that's created has to work in any environment on any device at the time you need it. That is the power of AI. If I'm in front of a computer, it works there. I'm on a mobile phone, it works on that. I have time and I'm putting on 3D AR, VR glasses. The same content with the same level of curation, but adjusted to my modality so that that knowledge is traveling with me. I mean, I could be backstage asking ChatGPT, what should I expect in questions at this conference, and it has to work there.
Actually, all these questions were generated by ChatGPT.
Aileen. The second thing is you finally now a vehicle to practice learning. I mean, the one sort of limitation on the way we do learning was you learned something and then you were tested. I use this. If you're getting ready for a difficult client conversation, you're about to go and deal with a difficult employee. AI now allows you to practice, get better, gets recommendations in a safe zone where you're not being judged, you're not being measured, and you're moving on. And the final thing, and there's probably a whole session we can do on this, is skilling, is the world on how you skill. The skill that you need at the time you need it. The learning systems understand what the recommendations need to be. My son's finishing his graduation in cognitive science. He needed to learn programming. He learned it from GPT, his entire Python learning and how he goes about it. I've got some great stories. He learned it when he needed it. He didn't go out and take a course, and he'll keep getting better when he needs to. That is the paradigm that is going to change, and that is what the future is going to hold.
Yeah, I think the future of AI learning is going to be, personalized. video first and always on. And think about that you have a private coach that understand your goal, understand your limitation, and knows about your career development needs. And it's going to give you the right content in the right format at the right time. And I think that type of training would not look like slides or text as we all probably consume most of them today. It would be video, it would be dialogue, it would be interactive content. And I think the nice thing about that is, with the conversation and immersive video content, we can actually, highly personalized, consume highly personalized content for our learning experience.
So do you think 5 years from now, how far out is it? Like I wake up in the morning and a voice is like, "Good morning, hey, Aileen. Like, here's your day today. You got this." Like, what do you think how is it going to manifest?
I don't know. Look, we don't have a crystal ball. The only thing what I do know is that whatever we're saying here is going to be going 4 or 5x faster than we probably anticipated to happen. So my view on this is that as humans, we need to rethink, like, what is our value kind of that we're adding. And so that has been very set in stone for the last few decades. And I think there's a lot of fear around AI, how it's going to change our jobs, how it's going to change our lives. I personally think that it's going to be for the better. We're going to become better human beings. We're going to be more productive. We're going to drive more output, do amazing things. But we have to take a step back and figure out, what role
what is
do
it
we
that
want
we
to
can
play?
do that
what role
AI
do we
can't
want to
do?
play in that?
Can I paint a quick moniker as a leave
Yeah.
behind, especially for the educators? Look, we all came from a world where you had a human, the instructor, you had a human, the learner, and then you had technology in the middle that facilitated that. Let's start thinking about, you have an agent, which is the instructor, and now you have an agent, which is the learner, and you have the human in the middle, governing, orchestrating, setting boundaries, setting risk tolerances, and that is how the jobs are going to change.
We just sit around and eat bonbons while the agents are doing all the work. Okay, I have a couple quick speed round questions, and we can sneak this in. We're just going to go really quick. What's the AI product you use most in your daily life?
It's still GPT or something like that. And then Microsoft Office Copilot. On a Friday, go ask it to read all your unread mail and then tell you which one you should reply on a Saturday. It'll do it in a jiffy.
Wow, that's cool.
So I'm obsessed with granola right now.
Say it again?
Granola, both
Granola.
in personal life and professional life. Basically takes a
There's still a lot of murmuring about the Friday afternoon.
yeah.
That's good.
It's really kind of takes a transcript and makes it a promptable, and I'm sure that's the word, promptable LLM. And then on the personal life, ChatGPT is like, I love asking stupid questions like, why is there a shortage on eggs and not on chicken? It's like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Yeah. I personally use the Google Notebook LM a lot. And, every day it took me about 25 minutes to 30 minutes drive to work. And one day before that, I will prepare all the reading I need to do. Long documents, I put everything onto, Google Notebook LM.
And it reads it to you on your way to work?
Yeah, I just listen to that. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I extract roughly, 30 minutes of content. Usually I can consume a ton of documents. And then when I get to work, I have the full context about all the meetings.
That's so awesome. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I have a whole long list so we'll have to come back next year, and our agents will tell you the answers to the next questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.